Grandfather and grandson. In a small mountain village, there lived an old skilled woodworker named Nikolai. Grandpa Nikolai was known throughout the community for his woodworking skills and the way he loved his job. His grandson, Andrei, watched his grandfather with wide eyes since he was just a child. From an early age, Andrei spent his vacation days in his grandfather's workshop, admiring his skill. Grandpa Nikolai was telling his grandson stories about his childhood, how he learned to work with wood from his own father, and about the satisfaction you feel when you create something with your hands. Andrei's parents were very happy that he loved spending time with his grandfather because they didn't have to look for other places to leave him when they had work, and grandfather in turn was glad to have Andrei by his side because he had someone to tell him all the stories collected during his experiences. And the grandmother was happy because if Andrei stayed with his grandfather, she had more time to do other chores around the household. Plus, when the evening came and she sat down in the workshop, she had the most beautiful painting, the one with her grandson next to her, his grandfather covered in sawdust, and with a huge smile on both of their faces. As time passed, Andrei had learned more and more and started working side by side with his grandfather, of course, not as well as Nikolai, but he was trying hard enough to reach his grandfather's level of skill. The grandfather felt that he could not carry on this job for very long because of his old age, and he was very anxious for his grandson to carry on his job, and therefore he had taught him a lot about what it means to work with wood by hand, and to something beautiful and something useful comes out of his hand. After a while, when Nikolai lost his strength and could no longer handle woodworking tools, he took the position that his grandson had when he was a child, that of a supervisor. But he no longer wanted to learn anything, but only to watch what comes out of his grandson's hand and teach him where it was needed. As the years passed, Grandpa Nikolai grew old and felt that his time on earth was coming to an end. In his last days, the grandfather proudly looked at his grandson and said, "Andrei, love this job and never forget to put passion into everything you do." That's what he did. After the death of his grandfather, Andrei felt a huge void in his heart. However, he knew he had to carry on the family tradition and honor his grandfather through his work. Andrei took over his grandfather's workshop and started creating remarkable works with wood. Every sculpture, every piece of furniture, bore the mark of skill and love for the craft. After a period in which he worked and pulled hard, the time came for him to open his own shop with furniture and various objects made of handcrafted wood. And as a sign of gratitude for his grandfather from whom he learned everything profession, he named the shop La Templeria Louis Nicolet. The first time when strangers entered the store and saw that the owner of the store was called differently than the name of the store, they asked him who Nicolet was, and then Andrei began to tell people about his grandfather and how he learned the job he practices today with love from him. And as we all know that a story must have a happy ending, so will this story. After Andrei also found his true love, and their boy appeared, he had the great surprise to see that his boy was just as curious, just like he was in childhood. And just as Andrei learned from his grandfather, he in turn will teach his son, if he likes it, and we hope that in the future, he will teach his descendants to continue this beautiful profession. The end.